Now 11:30, we've got a lot more for you straight ahead as we continue to monitor Hurricane Dorian.
That's right. First thing we want to get to is meteorologist Kristen Genesis. So Kristen, Jamie, Kristen's over there right now. What's going on with Dorian at this hour, Kristen? Some pretty good news, though, for those of us here in Florida.
Yeah, it's going 2 miles an hour.
Yes, it's moving at 2 miles per hour. Yeah, we got some movement to the northwest right now, and it's down to a Category 2 hurricane, so it's weakening. Wind shear is hitting this thing. Also just hanging out over the Grand Bahama Islands. It's using a lot of energy, so that's also helping it to weaken. We're looking at winds again at 110, so that's a Category 2 storm. We're still seeing tropical storm force wind gusts, though, in portions of South Florida. This is the latest track. Again, it just came down at 11 o'clock this morning, and it does show that Dorian will stay off of Florida. No landfall expected. The eye, or center of circulation, will be offshore, and it will be moving, and it looks like it'll be off the coast of Brevard County by tonight, overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. So by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're looking at winds at 110 miles per hour. So this is the latest track, again, approaching the coast of Brevard County by 8 o'clock tonight with winds at 110 as a Category 2 hurricane. Then continuing up north of Brevard County by tomorrow morning, again, winds at 110. We're estimating the eye, or center of circulation, will be about 120 miles offshore. Keep in mind, this could deviate a little to the west, and we would see stronger winds along the coast. But right now, based on this latest track, we are expecting tropical storm force winds sustained for our friends along the coast. That's winds over 39 miles per hour. And then as we head towards Georgia, this is still holding as a Category 2 storm. 8 o'clock on Wednesday. By Thursday, it's approaching the Carolinas, off the coast of North Carolina by Friday, 8 a.m., and then eventually checking out over the open waters of the Atlantic. So the models are all in agreement that we're not going to see landfall in Florida, but we will see the storm ride up along the east side of the state and then continue as we go into the weekend to move away from the continental U.S. So Guardian radar is showing a lot of rain coming our way. So these are the outer bands, real heavy rainfall. This is that blinding tropical rain. Thank you so much, Jamie King, for animating the radar for me, but I want to take you through it right now. You can see that these rain bands are moving on shore. Again, Volusia County seeing that rain right on top of I-95. We just had a batch move over our studio here in Lake Mary and then move down towards Orlando and Orange County. Right now, we are going to head out to Orange County. We have a press conference at the Office of Emergency Management.
Some fatigue, some emotional impact from the storm itself, but what I say to them is just be patient. We have perhaps another 24 hours or so left, and this storm should have moved past us at this point. With the recent tracks that we have been monitoring, if there's any good news, the most recent news is that the storm has been downgraded to a Category 2, which still means that it's a very massive storm that could cause significant damage. And because of that, here in Orange County, we are continuing to monitor and just waiting and watching what would possibly have an impact on us here in this community. If the storm keeps its present track, we will be looking at experiencing winds of likely under 50 miles per hour starting this evening here in Orange County. As we continue with our county preparations, we want to share important reminders to our community. Based on the latest models, this again will perhaps be a 24-hour period of time, and Orange County government remains closed today and tomorrow for the storm. We'll reassess later this evening and make some determination whether or not we're able to open for business on Thursday, but we will come back and certainly notify our community on a timely basis. Today we have more than 400 residents who have checked into our shelters here within Orange County. We have a total of 11 shelters that's open. To put it in perspective, yesterday we had about 150 people in our shelters. Today, 400 plus people are in our shelters. I want to remind people that if you feel that at this time you need to shelter, the best way to do that is to contact us via our 311 line, landline, our cellular phone. I would clarify here also, because of the way the 311 system works, sometimes the cellular calls ping off the closest cellular tower. And if you're on the periphery of the county, it is certainly possible that if you simply dial 311, you may go into a neighboring county. But if you're within Orange County, I would implore you to dial the full number. The full number that gives you direct access to Orange County government is the 407-836-3111 line, 836-3111. And if you know that you're in the interior of the county, just dialing 311 should be sufficient. In terms of links, we are also working with the city and county officials to transport those who are homeless citizens to the designated homeless shelters here within Orange County. All of our garbage and recycling services are suspended for the remainder of today, and we'll be assessing going forward when we can return to our garbage pickup. In order to accommodate residents who wish to dispose of yard waste, including tree trimmings, as well as garbage, the Orange County landfill will be open until 5 p.m. today, September the 3rd, and drop-off is available. Fees for yard waste from homeowners only will be waived. So if you are dropping off yard waste, we will waive those fees if you drop it off at the landfill itself. In terms of the potential for debris removal, we have robust plans in place. We have 40 debris assessment teams who are ready to respond, and that's if we incur the types of winds that will cause damage here within the county. Again, we want to thank all of our members of the public for your patience, but I would say to all of you, now is the time. If you have major hurricane plans, now is the time for you to execute those plans and be certain that you can continue to provide the type of protection for your families. I'm hoping by now that all of our citizens have developed their hurricane plans, and I'm going to bring up our emergency manager, Mr. Keith Koch, to come forward at this time, and he's going to share additional information with you about the
That's Mayor Jerry Demings continuing that news conference there in Orange County. Main takeaway from that is that they're really prepared in case of storm.
Yes.
It's definitely offshore, not going to have a huge impact in Orange County, but 400 people at those shelters, man, they're not taking any chances.
The other thing he said, I think that we're all kind of feeling this a little bit. He talked a little bit about the fatigue, right, and the emotional impact this is taking, because this has been such a slow moving storm and such a slow build-up. But again, don't let your guard down. It is still heading our way. We could still face some kind of repercussions from this storm. So that was Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. Now let's head to Volusia County, the news station's Danielle Lama. She is at New Smyrna Beach for us here this morning. Danielle, what are the conditions looking like there? And you talked about how sometimes it can be really windy, other times it's really calm. It's looking pretty calm there behind you.
Yeah, not too bad right now, not too windy, no rain. The big news out here right now, though, is this police presence. Police, you can see some of the cars right here. I was just told by the mayor that they are going through these parking lots, people driving by, and they are running tags. If you don't live beachside, they are telling you to leave. They've been dealing with some big crowds out here on Flagler Beach throughout the morning and the day. And like I said, it's nice right now, but we are seeing these wind gusts and this heavy rain, and so they just don't want as many people out here. There is a 6 p.m. curfew that is going to be going into effect later today. This area, of course, Beachline, Volusia County, under a mandatory evacuation. But we have talked to some folks who say they don't want to leave their home. Take a listen.
We have boarded up the house. We have a generator. We have food. We have water. We have a pretty strong house, and our elevation is pretty good for beachside.
If this storm was coming to shore here, this powerful storm, we would be leaving.
Well, and a lot of people out here, they've been through hurricanes before. The businesses are boarded up. They've got the hurricane shutters out. Another thing I want to show you right now, guys, is the ocean. You can see it's very rough. We've got some big waves, and we're getting close to high tide, so this water is coming all the way up to the seawall right now, and there's someone out in the water right now, and it is a double red flag, so they don't want people in the ocean because lifeguards have mentioned that they are already finding debris, and that's on top of these very rough conditions. So again, we're nearing high tide and the water is coming up. This is going to be a major concern as we go through the next 2 days because a lot of folks out here in New Smyrna Beach are worried about the potential storm surge and flooding. For now, I'm live in New Smyrna Beach. Danielle Lama, Fox 35 News.
Hey, Danielle, thank you much. Brevard County could actually see some of the worst impacts from Dorian.
The news station's Amanda McKenzie is live in Cocoa Beach for us this morning. Amanda, what's it like out there?
Well, we're actually in Cocoa, a little bit of ways from the Cocoa Beach side of things. We're a little more inland, and we've talked to a lot of folks who say one of their frustrations waiting out this storm has been that nothing is open. So we've taken a tour of Cocoa, driving around looking for spots that are open, and we found a great one right here at Flying J Rest Stop. Now you can see behind us, we have all of these restaurants here, all of them open inside, as well as the gas stations here. Now as you look closer, you will notice that these gas pumps are wrapped in saran wrap, but they are in fact actually open. So we have seen a lot of folks over here pumping gas, a commodity that a lot of folks need right about now, since a lot of folks fueled up days ago in preparation for Hurricane Dorian, and it's a slow moving storm. Now this may not be true later on today. These places could end up closing or shutting down as the weather conditions worsen. Now here's my notes right here. I found 2 other spots on US 1 in Cocoa with gas. We also saw a restaurant open on Dixon Boulevard, and the Walmart is open on Clear Lake Road. Now again, we don't know how long these locations will actually remain open, since as we've been reporting, the conditions are expected to worsen as this storm continues to inch closer to the Florida coastline. We have already gotten some of the bands of Dorian, so the weather really changes minute by minute. Right now it's sunny, blue skies and hot, but the next minute it could be raining and high winds. So we'll just have to continue to monitor the situations, and we'll let you know what else we find open throughout the day. Reporting live in Cocoa, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Amanda, thank you. Got this for you. Disneyworld, they'll be closing early today because of Hurricane Dorian. Hollywood Studios in the Animal Kingdom, they're shutting down at 2 p.m. Magic Kingdom is closing at 3. I've just heard that Epcot is going to be staying open until 7 o'clock tonight. As for the other parks, Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and City Walk will be open today. Volcano Bay closed. SeaWorld, Aquatica, Discovery Cove, all of those are closed. Legoland is also closed as of today.
And Port Canaveral is also now officially closed as well. Officials saying no ship, regardless of size or service that does include cargo ships, by the way, will be allowed to pass through the port. They add that the drawbridges will close during the storm before predicted gale force winds, which means 39 miles per hour. It will not reopen until the severe weather is over.
And Uber is suspending operations in Brevard County. Last night they did. Because of that, officials say they will no longer be able to provide free rides to open shelters. Uber will resume service when the conditions improve. As deadly Hurricane Dorian is slowly tracking its way northward, East Coast state and federal officials are bracing for its impact.
Fox's Doug Buzader has more now from FEMA headquarters this morning in Washington.
FEMA says it is trying to keep a step ahead of Dorian, but the uncertain path is creating some real headaches here in Washington.
We are getting an early look this morning at what Hurricane Dorian has left behind in the Bahamas, and the slow-moving behemoth of a storm isn't done there yet.
We're getting a lot of distress calls for persons needing rescue, needing to be rescued, but we cannot get to them right now.
But where will Dorian head next? That is the critical and difficult to answer question.
If the center comes closer to the coast, we could have a 7-foot inundation. Remember, storm surge is the most deadly hazard in a hurricane, and that's why we have warnings up in place now along the Florida East Coast.
And as fleets of power trucks prepare to move in after the storm, FEMA is confident that they are ready to go.
As you look at the room behind me, about 100 federal employees around the clock from different agencies working in support of those teams that are already on the ground and out in the field. We have the resources we need.
But that assurance comes amidst questions from Democrats about the Trump administration's earlier decision to use FEMA money to help fund ongoing immigration issues.
this is not a great optic, and it's one that Democrats are seizing on. And for sure, if the response ends up not being as good as they've said it could be or would be, then I imagine the Democrats would focus on that more.
But FEMA maintains that the shift in resources will not have an impact on its response to Dorian. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Coming up in our Hurricane Dorian coverage, we are heading back out to those beaches.
We're going to go to Brevard County to see what the conditions are like out there. In the meantime, we do want to leave you with this live look now out there at the beach. The waves are whipping up out there, and there's really nobody out there.
Now Shores Resort and Spa camera right here. Boy, those winds in the ocean is really making its way high up onto the beach. And on to your left, that's the latest path of Hurricane Dorian. Stay with us.
Yes, I do. actually quite beautiful. I'm guessing this is coming from David Martin and Paul Almeida. This is where their location has been, and really quite pretty. Those clouds, and David was talking about this on Twitter earlier, Jamie, and he was saying that the cloud show out there was truly spectacular.
It really amazing. The sun is coming up and it's getting darker.
Right, yes, that too.
All righty. Yeah, a little beauty, a little danger. I mean, we've got a little bit of everything. Good afternoon to you. High noon here in the Fox 35 Weather Center. Again, winds at 110 down to a Cat 2, as Bob pointed out, with northwesterly movement finally at 2 miles per hour. It beats stationary, believe you me, and that is eventually, as it begins to separate from the Bahamas, will gradually ease in a little bit of much-needed relief for the good folks there over on the west end of Grand Bahama, Freeport, and the like. They've been battered now for over 35 hours. That cloud shield has expanded out over the peninsula. There are some impactful rain bands embedded within that. It is producing some strong gusty winds and very heavy rain where we do find. I've got a radar assessment, a little analysis for you coming up. Want to just reiterate that track again, passing over the offshore waters of Central Florida, but do not let your guard down as we have multiple threats setting up later tonight, first thing tomorrow, but late Wednesday into Thursday, we get that calling card and hopefully the all clear as this separates from us here as it moves north of our latitude. But I want you to stay prepared. Do not let your guard down until this is out of the picture. Bottom line. Here's a look at the spaghetti plot models Kristen just revealed to you in the 11 to 12 p.m. time frame. It shows us, again, good consensus through the middle here. It shows us that confidence is growing that this system will remain over the offshore waters in the Atlantic away from the Sunshine State. But as I say that, the wind field, the wind surrounding the system and the overall size of the hurricane will begin to expand up and out. And that means one thing, that affects what we felt here in Central Florida. This isn't going to be a cakewalk tonight. We're going to have distinct rain bands piling on top. We will have gusts approaching, again, tropical storm force later tonight over the interior areas west of 95 and likely becoming sustained along the coast. So I want you to prepare for some battering winds later tonight, doing a lot better than it could have been as we assess now this over the last several days. Conditions have markedly improved for us here in Central Florida as to what we will see, not only short term, but again, a little longer term through days 2 and 3. You see that eye expanding out has become a little bit more in the way of ragged. We've got dry air intrusion in the system from the west. There's some wind shear going on right now. So again, boding well and bringing this down to a Cat 2 currently. And radar for you now, a very active scene playing out as the rain bands shuffle in, becoming a little more scattered over the deep interior. Rainfall, again, winds. Let's take a look at that. 5:50 this Tuesday afternoon. These are sustained winds, again, jumping up into the 30s now across Brevard County, a little lighter over the interior. By tonight, anticipate a further jump by about 12:50. Again, these are sustained winds. We do look for the potential for higher gusts into that tropical storm stage at 39 plus over the interior, mainly for what I call the first tier counties here. As you move into interior Volusia County, Seminole, Orange County, Osceola, again, some gusty winds at times here. You can see here 58 mile per hour sustained wind at Titusville as we get to 405 on Wednesday. So the closer you are, essentially, especially in Brevard County, Cape Canaveral, to that center of circulation, that's when winds become rather impactful. Damaging, yes, we can say that. 46 here for Daytona Beach. Notice the winds changing direction as that wind field bringing in more of an offshore wind flow versus onshore, blowing from the Atlantic toward the peninsula. This stuff blowing from the peninsula out to sea and doing what a hurricane does. As that wind field changes, winds are going to begin to separate from the peninsula and beginning to ease during that time. So there is a little bit of silver lining, but again, as we've been telling you all morning long, while the cone has adjusted offshore, we do not want you to lessen your grip on being well guarded, and certainly you should be well prepared. So here's the deal. We continue with hurricane warnings along the coast, tropical storm warnings interior. That does include eastern Marion County, also Putnam for our friends watching along the St. Johns River and Palatka this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. And of course, a tropical storm watch continues now for the area of Polk County. Looking at the storm surge potential, let's just say there's great potential at about 3 to 6 feet roughly. And I talk about that drier intrusion from the west getting wrapped around that circulation into the hurricane there. This is that trough of lower pressure finally digging in to the south and east. So it'll amplify, as we say, and weather begin to strengthen. That's going to set up some steering flow, maybe some more wind shear, which would be a good thing, helping to begin to move this, extricating this away from Florida right up the eastern seaboard by the weekend. So this front, again, is our friend. This is another pocket of disturbed tropical weather. Might become a depression here real soon, if not a named storm. That moving now toward Mexico. So not a concern for us here in Florida. That's all for now. 12:05. I'll send it back to you, Bob and Amy.
All right, great job, Jamie. Thank you. Hurricane Dorian turning deadly. We know at least 5 people have died, including a child, because of the storm in the Bahamas. The storm bringing 12-foot storm surge, wind gusts topping 200 miles an hour to the Bahamas. Officials say they can't even begin to assess the damage until the storm completely moves out. But we are hearing there are a lot of people missing as well. And so, of course, that death toll sadly will rise.
Yeah, a lot of new information coming out in the next few days. Take a look at this. We got this video just coming in. Water lapping against, and this is the key here, the second floor window in this home in Freeport. The water also flooding the room coming up the stairs. That storm was just sitting over the Grand Bahama Island for more than 30 hours. Amazing video. Second story in the water all the way to the top. One of the first places in Central Florida that might be feeling Dorian's impact, of course, could be Brevard County.
The county expected to some of the worst Dorian is going to bring us. The news station's Mike Magnoli. He's joining us live. He's been in Melbourne all day, bringing us up to date. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon, everybody, I should say. I'll tell you, I think folks have been cooped up for too long because it's kind of wild out here. We've got big crowds and people pulling some antics. I see them in there body surfing, boogie boarding. They're trying to, you know, pull jokes on the camera. You guys were talking about this just a moment ago. This storm did unbelievable damage in the Bahamas, and folks know that. They're coming up to me and they're talking about that. There's a feeling of relief, though, that that's not what we're dealing with, and it doesn't look like we're going to get anything like that in Florida. So, you know, it's tough because you're out here. This is serious business. We want to let people know that we are not out of the woods, but this is a spectacle. You know, a lot of people bringing their kids out to see it. So we're trying to find the right balance out here. You know, I don't want to be the professor telling everybody to, like, you know, straighten up out here, but show you some video. I believe we might have some video from a little bit further down on Melbourne Beach. This will be the part of Brevard County. This will be the part of Brevard County that sees the effects of Dorian first. And I guess we don't have that video. Producer says we don't have that video, so we're going to stay with these live pictures. You're looking at the crowd here. Tell you that all of the businesses on 192 are closed. All of the restaurants and shops, it's a ghost town. And I think that that's why you have people over here at the beach, because really there's nothing else to do. Last night into the early morning hours, there were some power outages on A1A down Melbourne Beach, but they had that restored by the morning, and that's not unusual. That part of Brevard County sees power outages quite a lot in severe weather, so we anticipate that there could be some more of that all over Brevard County. The Barrier Island, coastal Brevard, under an evacuation order that went into effect on Sunday morning. I'm told that a lot of folks have done that. They've left. The sheriff's office doesn't have a tab on how many people have left the area, but we know they have, and so we're just going to continue to monitor things out here. The surf is up, but no rain so far today, but we are watching what Dorian has in store for us. Live in Melbourne, I'm Mike Magnoli, Fox 35 News.
Mike, thank you. We really should acknowledge we recognize the discrepancy in what you're seeing out there. Kids, people out there with their infants on the beach at the same time that Mike is talking about the seriousness of the storm. It just shows how fortunate at this point Florida has become, because we sort of at this point missed the storm. Right,
and he made a good point. We're trying to strike the right balance because we get that, especially in the interior counties, you're really seeing a lot of you seeing sunshine today. We want to go out to Volusia County right now because that's where Danielle Lama is standing by in New Smyrna Beach. Wow, that's some serious wind and definitely different than what Mike is seeing. I don't see any people behind you.
Yeah, no sunshine here right now. The wind is definitely kicking up, and we're close to high tide right now, and that water is coming all the way up. It's hitting these buildings, it's hitting the seawall, and it's covering this entire area with seaweed and sea foam. And then look right here, it's brought sand up to this staircase. You can see the railing pretty much just goes right down into the sand. Now up here on Flagler Avenue, we've got a lot of businesses that are boarded up and they have the shutters up, but we also have a pretty large crowd, and that has brought the police. The police are right there. They are out here. I was told by the mayor they are running tags, and they are anyone that does not live beachside, New Smyrna Beach, they are asking them to please leave. But as you can look over here, just over in front of the ocean, there are those big crowds, people just taking pictures and videos and just kind of waiting. I know a lot of folks just want to be outdoors as much as they can before we really see the impact here in Volusia County, but we are starting to see those winds and those spurts of rain hit here in New Smyrna Beach, and we will obviously continue to monitor the situation out here. You can see these dark clouds above us. This area, beachside Volusia County, is under a mandatory evacuation that went into effect yesterday. yesterday, and a curfew will go into effect at 6 p.m. tonight. Reporting live in Volusia County, I'm Danielle Lama, Fox 35 News.
Danielle, thank you. Let's go to Osceola County right now. There's a curfew that's going into effect from today at 11 o'clock tonight to Wednesday, 6 a.m. The county has also issued a voluntary evacuation order for low-lying areas and for people who are living in mobile homes.
In Flagler County, they have issued a curfew for evacuation zones. The curfew will go into effect tonight at 7 until further notice. Evacuees, law enforcement will be working to make sure that your valuables are safe if you have left the house. The news station Sydney Cameron is joining us live. She's in Flagler County right now.
Checking in with her right now. How we doing out there, Sydney?
Well, just take a look at this ocean behind me, Amy and Bob. Someone just described it to me. They said this is an angry ocean, and I think I might have to agree. The waves just coming so far up on the beach, some of it going straight up to the sand dunes. I mean, this is what it's been like all morning long here in Flagler Beach. But, you know, also the flip side of this is that there are so many people out here on the boardwalk actually out here to watch this. You know, they're curious to see what the ocean looks like. They want to see these winds. You know, we've been experiencing wind gusts of up to like 28 miles per hour. So you just saw dozens of people out here. I actually have Norm with me. What brought you out here today?
Oh, just get out the house and look at the ocean. It's an angry ocean.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you look out at this and you know that the worst is still yet to come, how are you feeling?
I'm okay with it. This isn't my first rodeo. I went back as far as Hugo riding these things out on a tugboat. So, yeah, the worst is yet to come. The only thing you hope is it doesn't come to the west, because this storm's been really had a mind of its own.
Yeah, that's very true. You wouldn't want to be out in the water right now.
No, that's just got death written all over it. Wouldn't be a good thing.
You live very close to the beach. You plan on riding the storm out at home?
Oh, yeah. I live a block and a half away. I'm committed now. So if it comes, it comes. Here's what it is.
All right. Thank you so much, Norm. I should mention that there is an evacuation order in this area, so people will have to be out of here by 3 p.m. All of these people along the boardwalk will have to leave. And then there is that curfew in effect that you all just mentioned. It starts at 7 p.m. for evacuation zones A, B, and F, and will be in effect until further notice. Reporting live in Flagler Beach, Sydney Cameron, Fox 35 News.
Sydney, thank you. Got a reminder, of course, the best way to stay up to date on the storm, download the Fox 35 weather app. It'll bring you the very latest coordinates on Dorian, the track, wind speeds, right to your phone. To download it, just search Fox 35 in the App Store or Google Play, and we will be right back. It's 12 minutes after 12.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Welcome back. 12:15 right now. Vero Beach is feeling Dorian's power this morning. Check out this video of waves crashing against an American flag. The flag surrounded by water. Now, we got an email from someone earlier today explaining to us what this was. This is a sunken. Did you see the email? That it's a sunken ship. And so this is the flag that is still on top of the sunken ship. Anyway, I was thankful to that viewer because all of us were wondering, why is there a flag out there?
Hey, we're checking in with Jamie on the latest on the storm. But Jamie, I got to tell you, I read something from the National Hurricane Center that says, you know what, the takeaway from the 11 o'clock update is not that the wind speed has come down or the path. It's actually grown in size, and with the wind and the storm surge, it's actually, in many ways, a more dangerous storm now.
It is, yeah, Bob. That's an expansion of what we call the wind field, the winds associated with it on the outskirts. This thing, again, Bob, is growing out as it makes its way up the eastern seaboard, especially after leaving Florida. We're going to see a substantial expansion of that wind field, so there'll be a lot of areas as it makes its way, its escape route over the east now, anywhere from coastal Georgia up to the Savannah River Basin into the coastal Carolinas. There's a lot of real estate and a lot of real populated areas along the southeast coast that will feel the effects of this dangerous storm. Northwest movement at 2 now, so at least we've got something. It has been on top of the northern Bahamas now for hours and hours and hours, well over a day's time span, so they've been taking a beating in the northern islands there. Looks like the storm began, as Bob mentioned, while we are seeing a weaker storm, it is starting to draw in some drier air, and there is some shearing going on now, so that can always spell the demise of a system, but not so fast. Having its way, of course, at the coastal waters, will pass some mileage offshore. That remains to be determined with the forecast track cone, but do know that as it is parallel to our shoreline here, as we take on into Wednesday at 8 in the morning, winds at still 110, still a formidable Cat 2 hurricane. Any slide to the west is going to blow away the current forecast for winds and rainfall. So I want you guys to stay prepared, and for those even the coast, certainly hurricane prepared, as we again are confident of an offshore solution, but any wiggle waggle or any kind of wobble or shift toward the west is going to change our world big time around here, riding up through the coastal areas of South and North Carolina as we look longer term Thursday and Friday. Here's the animated track version for you and shows the progress of that, again passing offshore. Here's that line sliding along that line. That is going to be a critical period of time for us here in Central Florida. How close it will in fact get to us here, certainly by Wednesday, riding up, again a concern for maybe the Jacksonville beaches over to South Carolina and Savannah, Georgia, and then you can see that movement again heading on out into the Atlantic as we take into the weekend. We say goodbye finally to Dorian. I do want to address the rain band situation now, and I've got a tracker on this big slug loading over coastal Volusia County water, still a little bit offshore, but it is moving rapidly at roughly 30 miles per hour toward the shoreline at this time. All that again tightly tied to that circulation. So essentially think of this as the outer canopy, the northern fringe here of that circulation. It's very broad and very vast. It is importing quite a bit of tropical moisture on in, so when it rains, it will pour. And a lot of you can attest to that now as the heavy rain amounts continue stacking. I want to take it out of Sebring, Lakeland, Fort Meade areas here into Orlando Metro. A lot of this stuff is long lasting and making it all the way out toward Tampa there north of the Bay Area. And then point south are Mike Magnolia on the beachfront down there in coastal Brevard County. Again, he hasn't seen a lot of rain down there, and those of you in Brevard can attest to that statement as well, but it's only a matter of time before we start to see some more impactful rain, certainly by tonight and early tomorrow morning, containing those very strong damaging winds. As far as what we look at now in the tracker, I've drawn a bead on this, and we'll be expanding it out at roughly 30 miles per hour off to this west-southwesterly direction. Right now, it looks like Daytona Beach shores can expect this in approximately 30 minutes' time. Those of you at Ponce Inlet, other side of the inlet out in New Smyrna Beach, both north end and south end of the beachfront, just south of the jetties, this looks to be encroaching upon your area as well. And we're getting that signature here. While there's no rotation indicated in any of these, it is very heavy tropical rainfall targeting the specific area of the coastline. Back to the west, out to Pearson, DeLand, Deltona, I-4 corridor. We've got rain now easing, but at any time we could see this move aboard, and this looks like this could move into Orlando Metro with ease on that trajectory and proposed path here that Guardian Live Weather Radar is showing us at this time. Here's a look at sustained winds. Again, this will vary depending on any kind of wobble. I prefer an eastern wobble if you ask me. That would really take a lot of snuff out of these winds, anything east. But again, you can see that flow increasing here as we take it at 6 o'clock or so, 6:10 to be exact this evening. Not much over the interior, what I'd call breezy conditions west of 95. But if you look right here, you guys, coastal Brevard County, again, closer to that storm circulation, seeing the biggest uptick in wind as high as 45 or 50 miles per hour by 1:10 in the morning. 34 sustained out at Sanford and 25 at Leesburg. Lesser amounts, obviously, as you work west of that general point, with 37 on the wind at Daytona Beach by 4:25 tomorrow morning and 44 down in Melbourne. Here's a look at some 40s here for you. Tropical storm force again over coastal Brevard County. Notice the winds easing to the north and northwest and then true westerly as the circulation begins to separate from the state. It's at that point we begin to see winds dropping and easing. It'll be a very gradual process, but we'll be up and out of this by that time as the storm system continues to accelerate northbound during that time. We've got the hurricane warnings along the coast, tropical storm interior down in Polk County. Around Lakeland, that is a tropical storm watch with storm surge anticipated at 3 to 6 feet. I do want to talk about the tracking on how we are going to get the storm out of here and how that forward speed will eventually increase as we've got that trough of lower pressure. Look at all the dry air. This is real intriguing to me. And as we look longer term, as in a little bit later today, again, it looks like by 5 o'clock and toward the 10 o'clock time frame, what type of demise will this dry air cause to the hurricane, or has it really created its own unique weather environment, kind of locking that stuff out? That is going to remain to be seen and determined at a later time. But I can tell you, as that troughing continues now, we'll begin to see that southwesterly flow aloft developing way high above our heads in the upper of the atmosphere. This should help to carry the storm along, if not maybe help to shear it a little bit. That could also spell the demise here in the intensity department with that escape route over the eastern seaboard as we take you on in toward the back end of this week and into the weekend. So we hope and pray for the best, but I need you to stay prepared for the absolute worst. Should that track deviate a little bit to the west, all bets are off. Winds will rise and rain chances too. We'll keep you updated here from the Weather Center. Back to you now, Bob and Amy.
Thanks, sir. Orlando International Airport is closed.
One of the busiest airports in the country, you likely knew that, is now a ghost town. The news station's Matt Trezza is joining us live. He is among the other ghosts out there at the airport. Hi, Matt.
Hey, take a look at this. We're set up in a different place than we were before. This is one of the check-in desks at the terminal, and you can see they've got the thing pretty much shrink-wrapped here. It's amazing. I've never actually seen this out here. If you come to the airport right now, you pretty much have the place entirely to yourself. They decided to make this decision at around 2 o'clock this morning. That's when it went into effect. They put the airport into a standby mode. All flights are canceled at this point. They said it's because of the tropical storm force winds that are in the area. They say they're blowing at around 40 to 45 miles an hour. And that's something that is just too risky for air travel at this point. So when the National Weather Service made that announcement, that's when the airport decided to shut down. And this is what it looks like here. Just incredible how they have the whole place just wrapped in plastic here. A clear message. If you're coming to the airport, there are no flights going out today. There is no information on those monitors back there. Just a black wall, and that's all you're going to get when you go to the airport today. They say they're going to put out more information later as to when the airport may reopen. And we talk with some of the few folks who happen to be still walking around the terminal when we were here.
No, but I've been in and out of this airport 1,000 times at least, flying everywhere I go, and I've never seen it empty. You were the only two people down here, except for us.
And now those are some of the people who are staying at the hotel that's actually built into the airport here. It's a Hyatt hotel. If you've got a room here, you're more than welcome to be here, but they only want the folks to be at the airport who either are booked into the rooms at the hotel or are some of the support staff who are still on hand today doing some kind of maintenance and stuff like that, cleaning up while this is all going on. They say the airport, they stress, is not a shelter, so in the event of very bad weather, don't head here because there won't be any room or facilities for you. We're live at Orlando International Airport. Matt Trezza, Fox 35 News.
Hi, Matt. So Disneyworld, by the way, is closing early today because of Hurricane Dorian. Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, they're shutting down about an hour and a half, 2 o'clock. Magic Kingdom will close at 3. Epcot is going to remain open until 7 o'clock tonight, and Disney Springs will close at 8 p.m.
Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and City Walk, all of them open today. Volcano Bay is closed. SeaWorld Aquatica and Discovery Cove all are closed. Legoland is also closed today, but Gatorland is open. Orange County giving an update today on Hurricane Dorian. Mayor Jerry Deming says if the storm continues on its current track, the area will experience winds of about under 50 miles an hour. Dorian recently downgraded to a Cat 2 storm now. Mayor Deming says they are still taking it very seriously.
Which still means that it's a very massive storm that could cause significant damage. And because of that, here in Orange County, we are continuing to monitor and just waiting and watching what would possibly have an impact on us here in this community.
The mayor says they have over 400 residents right now in county shelters. Dorian's path may be off the coast, but federal officials are still preparing for the worst.
FEMA deploying urban search and rescue teams to Florida and Georgia. They've also added staff to support medical evacuations. The Department of Homeland Security says the feds are working with states and local governments across the region.
We're well prepared. We've been at this for 5 or 6 days preparing. We've been activated in the National Response Coordination Center, which you can see behind me. We have food, water, generators, staff, helicopters, ambulances from Florida all the way into North Carolina.
The Department of Health and Human Services says it's deployed 5 disaster medical assistance teams. It's also working to support Florida's Medicare beneficiaries, specifically the people who rely on electric-powered medical equipment. You know, we were just saying the Universal is staying open today. I just checked. Every ride out there is about 5 to 10 minute wait, except for the Hagrid ride. It's still 2 hours.
Of course it is. But if you want to go, if you have a pass, go enjoy yourself. Yeah, coming up on the news station, we continue our live team coverage of Hurricane Dorian.
The storm finally is starting to move northward. 2 miles an hour. Very exciting. We are headed out to the coast next.